Hello, welcome to my channel, The Hebrew Bible. This is Moses Gumadi, and in this video, I'd like to talk about this subject of what is in a name or why Hebrew names matter. Okay, now this is Shakespeare, who wrote the play Romeo and Juliet, besides many other plays, as you might be familiar with. And in this particular play, Romeo and Juliet, right, he introduces this phrase, what is in a name? He puts that in the mouth of Juliet when she speaks to Romeo. And what she says is, what's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Now, roses obviously have smell, color, shape, texture, and beauty, and you can have multiple different colors of roses. And so really, the name rose is not distinguishing between the colors. She thinks that it signifies the smell, but perhaps maybe there is a difference in smell too between the roses. And so what does really this word rose signify? Does it signify smell or color, shape, or all of them together or not? So that's the conundrum. Now, if we call them tulips, would it matter, right? So that's the question. Certainly in Hebrew and in ancient Near East culture and in the Hebrew Bible, it matters. Let's take this example. In the modern society, people think that the names are really tags of identification. For example, Elon Musk's son was named XAEA12. Well, this symbol here, A and E joined together. So I do not know how they pronounce it and what is the significance of it. Surely Musk might know what these letters mean, and maybe they know something, but certainly not common people. So this looks pretty much like a tag. But in the Hebrew, we have this word Shem. Shem means name, and we'll talk about the significance of this word and its link to other words a bit later on. But what I wanted to show you is that in the ancient Near East, right, depicted here on the screen in various colors, you can see here this is Babylon, and this is like, you can say, Ugatic area, or you can say Ashur, and this is Phoenicia, this is Palestine, Israel, and you have Arabia, and then you have Egypt. All these areas had a common, roughly about similar culture, which is categorized as ancient Near Eastern culture. And their languages are all Semitic languages, and they are related. Now, the thing is that this is what they believed regarding the names. And I will go one by one of these points that I've highlighted here, and will show you correspondence between their beliefs and the Bible. So we would know, like, what does it mean by a name in the Bible, and what is the significance of any name, not just the name of the Lord, but the names in general, right? So let's begin with the first point. The name is the soul and essence of an individual. It does not merely identify the individual, but in fact, actually it defines the individual. So that's the first point. And this is very much reflected in the Bible. In Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, we read that God formed man out of the dust of the ground. Here we read, Vayitzer Adonai Elohim et ha-adam afar min ha-adama. So there is a wordplay here, ha-adam and adama. Adama is the ground, Adam is the man. So you have Adam here. And if we add a he, right, that becomes feminine. And the word we have is Adama, ground. In fact, therefore, Adam has been named after the ground, Adama. Not only that, the word Adam can be slightly pointed differently, and if you pronounce it as Adom, then it means red. And you could also slightly change the vowel and pronounce it Edom. It means Edom, or like it's the alternative name given to Esau, the brother of Jacob. It can also mean red. So essentially what we're talking about is red ground. Red ground. That's what it is. And Adam gets his name from this red ground. So Adama means ground. but the word in the root Adam also has its redness within that. Okay, so that defines the character of the man Adam or Adam, which means a red taken from the red ground. That's what it means. Right. Let's look at a couple of more examples. In Genesis 27, we see that Esau actually complains to his father about Jacob, saying that is he not rightly named Jacob because he supplanted me 2 times. Here we see Yaakov is the word for Jacob, and Vayakeveni is supplanted me. And so these 4 letters here highlighted in blue and these red letters are pretty much the same. The vowels are slightly different because this is in the verb format and the grammar rules require them to change because they are a part of a bigger word. But at the end of the day, right, Jacob's name is actually derived from this verb which means to supplant or to catch by the heel. Right. So there is a separate video I have done on Jacob's name which you can check out. And so the names define the character of the person. That's what is happening. There's one more occurrence in 1 Samuel 25 where there was a man called Nabal, very rich person, and his wife is Abigail. David sends men to his place because they've been protecting them in the wilderness, etc. And he asks some favor from him, but he replies very strongly. In fact, he doesn't really care who David is, even though he knew that he was anointed king by Samuel and he's going to be king soon after Saul. And so there's a big story around it. You can read about it in 1 Samuel 25. But what is happening here is that his wife goes to apologize to David, and she says about her husband, for as his name, so is he. Ki keshmo ken hu. As his name, so is he. So this shows that, the name defines that person. And this is the best example because his name is Nabal, which actually means a fool. And Nabal shmo unevala imo. Nabal is his name and folly is with him. And that is why for as his name is, so he is. Because Nabal means foolishness, and so he was a fool. So the names really represented who they were, and that's how it was understood. So the Shem is the word. Shem is the name, right? And not the name as we understand, but Shem means the way they understand it. That's the names or names of the persons. Now, if you put in this he to make it feminine and then add a nun in the beginning, that becomes neshama. So this is the neshama word, which actually means breath or essence. And so that is what we've been talking about, that the name actually represents the essence of a person, which sort of could be supported by this sort of an etymological connection between Shem and neshama. Okay. Now the same neshama is what God has breathed into us, as we read in Genesis 2:7. We saw this verse earlier. We read here, Vaipach be'apav nishmat chayim, and God he breathed into the nostrils the breath of life. That is neshama. Also, Job says, the breath of the Almighty has given me life. Nishmat shaddai techayeni. So the point is, again, this is neshama. So God's neshama is within us. Not only neshama represents our own character, but it was actually originally given by God. Okay. Second point then is that the one who names binds the meaning of the name and the character. Binds the meaning of the name as the character and destiny of the person who is named. Right? So essentially, the person who is named receives his destiny and character by the person who named him. So let's see examples. Before we talk about the examples, I think there's an important verse here in 2 Samuel 7, where we are talking about God. God went to redeem for him a people to himself and to make him a name. Here the word is Velashum lo Shem. Velasum actually. So the dot is on the left hand side as opposed to the right hand side here, that is a cantillation. Don't worry about that. Well, assume lo Shem, to make him or to set. The word sum means to set or to appoint for himself a name. That means when a name is given, it sets. So the word sum and Shem are related, and therefore the name is something that is set. That's the relationship I'm trying to bring in to address that point, the second point, where we talked about the fact that when somebody names another person, his character and his destiny are set. Okay, this is the connection between the word sum and Shem. Well, God did that. In fact, when God divided the light from the darkness, right, we see he divided the light. That means he gave separate identities to light and darkness. And then the Lord called, Vaikra Elohim Laor Yom. He called. Kara is to call. He called light as Yom, and he called darkness as night or Laila. Yom and Laila. So these are the two names he has given for light and darkness. And so again, here we see not only God, Adam himself, when God formed all the beasts or the animals and fowls, etc., and the birds, and brought them to Adam to see what he would do. It is written here, "Vekol asher yikra lo ha'adam nefesh chaya hu shemo." Whatever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. So ikra is a kara is to call, right? And shemo is his name. So it is Adam who named the names of the animals and the birds. Thereby he set their destiny in one way, because the way he wants to see the animals are described by the words he gave them. And so when we relate to certain animals, our psychology or our response to those animals have differences, and that is due to the way we see them, not necessarily how they are. And so that particular aspect of how we relate to them is set by the names that Adam has given. Right, well, that's what it says in Genesis, and therefore the idea that the person who names actually is setting destiny is pretty much there as well. Another example, actually, Adam names Eve in Genesis in chapter 3 verse 20. Vaikraha Adam Shem Yishto Hava. So he called his wife's name Eve, right? Why? Because ki he hayata em kol hai, because she was the mother of all life or all the living. Chai is the life of the living, and from where the word Hawa comes. And so Eve and living are related etymologically, and that is how she was named based on this one. Right, the third point then is when a name is lost or expunged or blotted out, misfortune follows in this life and the life after. No afterlife without a name. Well, let's see. We have these examples in the book of Exodus where Moses actually asks the Lord to blot his name out, because if he does not forgive the sins of the Israelites who had previously rebelled. He says, if not, blot me, I pray thee, out of thy book. The book is Sefer. And he's telling him to blot out Mechani, right? That's the word for blotting out. We have other, and what did the Lord reply? Lord said, I will not blot out I will only blot those who sinned against me. Again, the same words are used. Now, if you go further in Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 20, where the Lord talks about Umacha, to blot out, right? Et Shemo Mittachat Shamayim, his name from under the heaven, right? So he will blot out the name, certain people, like those wicked or whoever they are described in this verse, their names will be blotted out from under the heaven. So the name under heaven is obviously the name, the localized name of a lower level existence of that man under the heaven. Remember, this under the heaven occurs very frequently in Ecclesiastes, where the whole perspective of Ecclesiastes is about the life under heaven, not really life above the heavens, like life under the sun, so not above the sun. So this name is blotted out under heaven. We have same idea in Revelation chapter 3 verse 5. In the whole book of Revelation, we read about the names written in the book of life, etc. I will not blot out his name out of the book of life. Okay. Now this book of life idea comes from Psalm 69. So most of the ideas from the New Testament actually come from the Hebrew Bible, because obviously the whole gospel and the whole narrative of the New Testament heavily depends upon the Hebrew Bible, and which is why we must study the Hebrew Bible to understand correctly what the New Testament is saying. And so here is the book of the living, which is Sefer Hayim, right? So he say, let them be blotted out of the book of the living. So that's the Sefer Hayim, is the book of the living. And so that point is covered. Now we have the penultimate point here, which is an individual's character and destiny can be changed if a higher power changes the name. Now, earlier we saw this point that when somebody gives the name, right, the person who received the name had his destiny and character set, fixed. It's almost like a fate. Well, it can be changed provided the name is changed. And somebody up higher in the hierarchy can change it. Okay, that's another idea and belief that these people had. That's how strongly they thought about the names. And so, does this idea occur in the Bible? Sure it does. In Genesis chapter 17, we read God said that, well, your name shall not be anymore called Abram, because your name shall be called Abraham. Why? Because you will become a father of many nations. Av Hamon Goim. Av Hamon Goim. I have a separate video about Abraham's name, which you may want to refer to. You can just click on the top right corner. There is a pointer there, and you just click it. You can find the list of the videos that I just mentioned. You can watch them. Now, so this is the first example. Obviously, in this very example, I have not mentioned here on the screen, but we have Sarah. Her name was Sarai, and name was changed to Sarah because then she's going to have a child. She was barren before, now she's going to have a child. And so the name change has coincided with the change in the destiny or change in the role or something like that. Similarly, we have the name change of Jacob. He was called Yisrael. Here we read the angel who fought with him and the man. It is as it is written, Vayomer lo Yaakov ye'amer od shimcha ki im Yisrael ki sarita im Elohim. You have, as a prince, you have a power with God, right? And the name is changed to Yisrael. Why? Again, you have this word sarita. This is where the sar is prince. That is where this is linked, Sar. And El comes from Elohim, right? So that's the link between Israel and this phrase. And his character is changed because as Yaakov or Jacob, he was a supplanter, he was a heel grabber, but now his character is changed to Israel. Not only that, not only God changed it, in fact, even people have changed the names. For example, Moses changed the name of Joshua. His original name was not Joshua. His name was Hosea, which is like English Hosea. So Hosea was his name. That's in the red, Hosea. And his name was changed to Yehoshua, which is Joshua, Yehoshua. So here, Yehoshua, Ben Nun, son of Nun. Okay. Another case where King of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, changed the name of the king, the Israelite, the Jewish king in Jerusalem, called Mattaniah. right? So the king of Babylon made Mattaniah, his father's brother, king in his stead. That is the father's brother of Jehoiachin, in his stead, and changed his name to Zedekiah. The Zedekiah is Tzidkiyahu. Tzidkiyahu is his actual name. Okay, so he changed. Again, he put this name according to his own religion. I mean, not Babylon's religion, but the Jewish religion. Tzidkiyahu means the righteousness of Yahoo, which is the righteousness of the Lord, YHWH. This guy has named him like that, right? Hoping that he will do the righteousness according to the Lord. And he swore, but later on he broke his oath, and therefore God himself declares that this guy is going to die because he broke his oath. Right, so the names are changed by people higher up in the hierarchy. Right, we come to the last point where we consider this idea that some gods and even maybe humans may have some secret names. They have one name, apparently like outward name, but they have a secret name. And whosoever finds that name potentially could have power over that person who has that name. And they could probably manipulate. That's why they keep it secret. And their entire power or their character lies with that name. Therefore, they don't disclose that name. They have another dummy name by which they are known to others. And so this is how they thought about certain gods, certain powerful divine beings or whatever. Okay, now is this idea present in the Bible? Yes and no. So there's a two-sided thing here, okay, which we have to consider carefully. This is one instance where we read in the book of Genesis. Well, it's the same thing when Jacob's name was changed to Yisrael. Jacob asked him, he said, Vayish al Yaakov Vayomer Hagida na Shimecha. Please tell me your name. Right? And what did he reply? Vayomer Lama ze tish al lishmi. Why are you asking my name? And did he give the name? No. He blessed him there and he left. He did not reveal his name. So the names were protected and secret and did not disclose. So here I think the person who is, it says an angel. Again, the next verse we read that he has seen a God face to face. It says Elohim. But Elohim can refer to God. It can refer to others too. But in any case, we can say that he refused to give his name in this instance. Why? Not necessarily because by giving the name, he will lose his power or anything like that, as ancient Near East people thought. But I'll give you the reason why subsequently. Let's see another example of the name being not disclosed. In Judges, we read Manoah, the father of Samson, asking the name of the angel. And Manoah said unto the angel, Vayomer Manoah el Malach Adonai mi shemecha. So the Malach Adonai is the angel of the Lord. He asked him, what is thy name? What is your name? And he did not give it. And what did he say? Lama ze tish al lishmi vehu peli. Why are you asking my name? Because it is wonderful or secret. Peli could mean it's hidden, or it could mean it's wonderful. And wonderful in the sense that incomprehensible, mind-boggling. So that means you can't understand. Right? So can we get an example of that? We'll see an example shortly. In the name of the Lord itself in Exodus, when he actually revealed this name, Moses asked the Lord, if I go to Egypt and tell these people that the Lord God of your fathers has appeared and he has sent me, they will say, what is his name? What should I say? The Lord said, Vayomer Elohim el Moshe ehye asher ehye. This phrase, he said, I will be what I will be. I will be what I will be. And then he goes on to say, Adonai, YHWH, Yehovah, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, etc. He has sent me to you. This is my name forever. Ze Shemi Le'olam. This, YHWH, is my name. And so the name YHWH and Ehye Asher Ehye are related. Ehye Asher Ehye means I will become what I will become. I will become what I will become. So, and there is a video that I have made on this topic. If you would like to go through it, it involves both being and becoming. Okay, you can translate it as I am that I am, or you could say I will be what I will be, or I will become what I will become. Same thing in the third person. The Lord's name YHWH means He is, or also He will become, or He will be. He will be what? Or whatever He will be. So that means He is giving you the name but not telling you the entirety. He is just giving just the description of the uncertainty, like a description of really nothing except His own will, and that He will be whatever He will be. So that means it's infinite. You can't pin down and say, oh, well, this and not that and that and not this, etc. So He has really widely thrown open the scope of the name, so widely. But we can't make Him whatever we want Him to be. Rather, He will be what He will be. Okay, that's the meaning. As an example, let me give you this very good example. Pi is a mathematical symbol which is used in calculations by many people in physics and engineering, etc., which is known as 22/7. It's a fraction, but it's an approximation. Some people use 3.14, right? Actually, you need to be a little more accurate to get the calculations correct. Yeah, if you use these 10 digits, I think mostly you can probably use these numbers and do calculations to go to space. It'll work. Okay, so this is good enough, and you could probably calculate more number of digits. So the point is, somebody who knew this or that, they know pi, but they don't know the pi fully. Only they know just on the scratch, because pi will go on forever. Now these are 1,000 digits of pi. Well, not just the 1,000, it goes on forever. In fact, here we see this example of Google guys calculating 100 trillion digits, and it is not over. It goes on forever. There is no end. 100 trillion is 1 followed by 11 zeros. Okay, but in fact, there are numbers which we can actually name, which is called Google, for example, which is 1 followed by 100 zeros. Now, the total number of fundamental particles in this universe is only 1 followed by 89 zeros. It's a lot less than Google. And so, the point I'm trying to make is that if we can't figure out pi, how can we figure out the full extent of the meaning and the import of the name of God? So, Psalm 145, Gadol Adonai umichulal me'od veligdulatho, that is gedulatho actually, veligdulatho ein heker. Great is Adonai, YHWH, and is greatly to be praised, and His greatness is unsearchable, meaning incomprehensible. Incomprehensible. It's not possible to fathom the full extent of the meaning of His name, and for that very reason, no one can, because we can't comprehend. No, not the highest creature ever created can comprehend His name. Therefore, knowing whatever they know is not enough to, like how the ancient Near East people thought, to gain control over the person who has the secret name, etc. That is not possible with the Lord, and therefore He tells you His name. But what we understand from the name is only 10 digits, or maybe a little more. But there's much more to the story. Okay, so, and no one can conjure the Lord. No one can conjure Yehovah. because unlike other gods, people, other angels or somebody, like they use names, etc., holy names or secret names or whatever the names they use in certain magical practices by various people in the history they have done. Whether they work or not is not, it's a different question. But such practices existed. But nobody, they may conjure this or that being, but certainly not YHVH. He cannot be conjured. You see, this verse in Proverbs, we read that there is no wisdom nor understanding nor counsel against the Lord. Ein chokma ve ein tevuna ve ein etza leneged Adonai. Okay, you simply can't figure out a device or counsel or come up with a plan, however wise, against the Lord. It ain't gonna work, right? But you can obviously call upon the name. The name has been revealed to the extent that we are able to understand, and all people, each person will understand it differently at a different level depending on the grace God has given them. But nobody can comprehend entirety, but we can call upon his name. Okay, that's a good news for us. That brings us to the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Please do like the video, comment and subscribe, and I will see you shortly in the next video. Thank you very much.